We are live. Let's get ready to podcast.
Fire it up.
Welcome back to another live and amplified Indie Fusion podcast. I'm your host, Tom Quiet, and we are back at it again with another amazing podcast. Today, we have a very special guest joining us. I can't say I'm a Texan, but we have a fellow Texan in the building. We have Leah Graham. How's it going today?
Pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. We survived. Well, I mean, you got hit a little bit harder than we did, but we survived the winter, whatever we want to call it, last week. So.
Yeah. It wasn't anything crazy.
Right. So how's everything going? You're up in the Dallas Metroplex area. How's everything going up there?
It's good. I had a show last night in Fort Worth, and I've been playing shows around DFW for a solid 2 years now. So it's been going pretty good. Excited for 2025, a whole new round of shows.
Nice. Now, do you find yourself playing more shows right now with the upcoming release of your EP, or?
So I tried to get some shows booked. I have the EP will be released January 24th. I don't know when this will come out, but I'll have a show on January 24th. And then I had a show last night. I was going to have a show Friday, and then it got canceled due to the snowstorm.
Oh, man, that's unfortunate, yet still very funny, because I grew up in Chicago where you actually had to get snow to get stuff to cancel. And I'm down in Waco. And just the prospect of potential snow was enough for people to start canceling things.
Yeah.
Crazy. So let's talk about the new EP, because as we're recording it, this is the 12th. The episode will actually be out on the 21st, so it'll be just in time for the release of the EP. What's kind of the story behind the EP? How long have you been working on it? Stuff of that nature.
Yeah, so I've been writing songs my whole life, and I'm constantly just writing new things. So I wrote these songs starting in April of 2024, whenever I was thinking about my future. I graduated that last December from the University of North Texas, and I was like, what am I going to do? Where am I going to go? What's my life going to look like? I decided around May, I think, to move to Fort Worth. I was in Denton at the time. And so all of my friends were in Denton, and all of my connections were there. But Fort Worth was like calling my name, and for some reason, and I think there's a lot more opportunities for me out here for some things, and that transition is the time period I wrote all of these songs. And it's really an EP about change, and also about growing up and kind of discovering your own path. And I've been away from my parents and my family for a few years now, but moving away from my friends was another step, and I was like, this is going to be difficult, but
right.
we're on the other side of it now, I think. But the song still hit really hard.
Right. Hey, that's cool though. You took a very personal, you took a situation that is very personal to you, but I feel like a lot of people can relate to. Everybody moves away, or I guess I can't say everybody. Several or many people move away from their families, and it's not just, hey, I'm going to the next town over. It's no, I'm going halfway across the state or 5 states. So a big gigantic move like that. And I feel like a lot of people can relate with that. And as your songs start to make their way through Spotify and just kind of the ether, we'll call it, I think that's where people are going to start to really connect with you as a musician. So.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so. I know I'm 22 right now and like I still have a lot of growing to do, but I mean, everybody changes and everybody grows and learns things. And I feel like this is kind of a testament to that for me, moving away from friends and family and kind of carving this path of independence.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So you said Fort Worth was kind of calling your name. Um, what was it about Fort Worth that kind of spoke to you versus like maybe going out to like Nashville or going down a little bit further south to Austin? What was it about Fort Worth?
So it was really difficult. I graduated in December with a degree in sociology. And while I was at UNT, I made a lot of music friends because it is such a music based college. And that was great. I started a guitar club while I was there, and all of my friends were like non music majors, but still wanted that community. So it was really cool to like meet everybody that way. But when I graduated, I knew I couldn't really do music full time quite yet. Like that's an end goal of mine, and I hope to get there someday. But realistically, like that's not what I can do right now. And so I started getting my alternate teaching certification, and the schools in Denton are good, but there's more in Fort Worth and DFW. And if I wanted something as a new teacher, this was going to be like a better opportunity for that. And like just music wise, I hadn't really explored Fort Worth yet. I'd been around Dallas a bit, but Fort Worth was completely new to me. So it was like almost a new start. And like I played the Cicada last night for the first time, and it was like a whole new crowd, and it was really cool. So I think the dream of moving to Fort Worth was me trying to prove to myself that I could move, could make that leap on my own, which I had done before when I moved to Denton, but doing it again is hard.
Right. And like, I mean, not to say that it gets easier every time you do it, but the connections you make seem to still last. Like you say down line, you're to move from Fort Worth to say like Austin or something, or even like the music really starts kicking up and it's like, oh, I got to go to Nashville to like really do this the way I want to do it. Or, like whatever it is, the connections you've made in the previous city tend to stick around a little bit longer, so that transition isn't quite as hard.
Yeah. And that's something I really value. Like the connections and friends I made in Denton, like are still going so strong. Like a few of them came out to the show last night. And if I move away from Fort Worth at some point, I fully expect those like connections here to still be as strong, because the music community in DFW is so supportive. Like genuinely, I love it here and I wouldn't want to move away, but if something calls, then something calls. But everyone in DFW is I love them.
Oh yeah, for sure. And like, especially, and I think you'll really understand this because you lived out in, or you're from Texarkana. So I feel like this part of the country between Nashville and say like San Antonio is a really good stretch to be a musician, because it's really not that hard to travel from Nashville to San Antonio. I do it all the time, and it's a relatively easy transition. So it's like, if say in 2 or 3 years, you're like, you know what, I want to go on a tour and go from Fort Worth to Nashville, there's like at least 7 to 8 different cities that you can stop in and have a good turnout. And so like, I think you're going to start, especially with the bleed over of like Texas music really starting to get pushed out onto the main stage of music right now, with a lot of Texas artists really starting to get some shine. I think that's going to open up the Texas scene in general, and especially in Fort Worth, where they have their own supportive community. I've got a lot of friends that live up in Fort Worth, and they're part of the Fort Worth Songwriters Festival and like all the different like associations and stuff like that. And so just kind of being in this area is a very good thing for musicians, in my opinion.
Yeah, I like want to. I moved in August, and right when I moved, they were having like I don't remember when I submitted my music to it, but the Fort Worth Songwriting Festival, I knew I was going to go there, and they accepted my music, and I was like, I don't know anybody in Fort Worth, but they still like loved my stuff, and I ended up playing a song swap with two other musicians, and like that was like kind of my first introduction to the Fort Worth music scene. And it was so amazing. Like everyone was so sweet, and they all came to watch, and that was such like a positive beginning in Fort Worth.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's one of those things where the community actually cares, if that makes sense. Like they actually support musicians. They actually show up to shows. It's very much like Nashville in that way, where you go to Nashville and once you kind of find your community, find your tribe, you find your group, you're pretty much in. And I mean, not to say that you're not in the second you show up and play a show, but in Fort Worth, it's just like everybody supports independent music. So
Yeah, it's really nice.
So kind of looking forward, obviously, you got your new EP, it'll be out on the 24th. Are you looking, once this is out, like what's kind of the thought process moving forward? Is it like just trying to get more shows in Fort Worth? Are you already looking at like another project now that you're kind of in a new environment? Like what's kind of the thought process moving forward?
I think if anything show wise, it's gonna be Denton. Like Fort Worth is great, and I would love to do more shows, but I feel like my audience is Denton, and they have a lot more capability for DIY shows, which is kind of what I have to do right now. And Fort Worth is interesting. It's a new audience, and I would like to play, but I think with the college kids in Denton, I feel like my music kind of speaks to them a little bit more, and I think my music is very deep and like isn't just surface level lyrics. So I think adults can like appreciate that side of it and kind of resonate with the lyrics in a different way maybe. But I want to try to do more shows everywhere, really. Like I've got some connections in Austin and Houston, maybe do like a small Texas tour at some point. But yeah, this project, I'm already starting to write new songs. So like, it's like, what's next, I got a Rubber Bridge guitar for Christmas. I don't know if you know about those, but I love it so much. I've been wanting one for so long, and it's kind of like growing in the folk indie scene. So I want to really try to write whatever's next on that. And I've already written one that I like. And I think the next stuff will probably be singles, just for, I think, algorithm purposes. But hopefully another EP or maybe even an album if we get to that point.
Right. And is the hope eventually down line as you start kind of figuring out your place in music, do you hope to eventually build out a band, or do you kind of just see your shows being you doing like solo acoustic, more intimate stuff?
Yeah, so I've had a few full band shows. The one on the 24th will be a full band, but getting a touring group is difficult, I think. That would be a whole other project, but I have enough connections in DFW to be like, hey, can you come play bass on this? Or hey, can you do drums here? And worked with Chris Pitts. He's my producer for the EP, and he'll play drums. And it's been good working with him because he has a whole other different side of connections because he's been in the industry a little bit longer than I have, and getting to work with him has been really inspiring, and he's been the most important stepping stone in this process for sure.
Nice. That's nice. So kind of looking at you and music, were you playing music before you moved to Denton? Were you playing back in Texarkana, or was it really Denton that just kind of kicked it into gear for you?
I definitely secretly wrote songs in Texarkana. I've been writing songs since I was probably like 12 or something. I performed my first one. It's the first song I ever wrote. It was at a church, and like I was so scared. My hands were shaking. I played it on piano. I still have a video of it. It's so sweet, and like it's so cool to see how far I've grown. And you know, I still have all of those songs. I go back and look at them, and I'm like, this was so silly. Like, what was I writing about? But I took it so seriously. But I think performing my songs kind of started with my family. My mom was always like pushing me to play for family and friends. Like if they came over, like, go get your guitar, go play us a song. And that was always really sweet. I think I mainly started off with covers though, performing wise. And I kind of did that on TikTok for a bit. And like, I didn't have any friends freshman year of college. And so that was kind of my outlet of, oh, I can look forward to going home and recording some covers on guitar and posting them. But the first time I performed an original was at an open mic in college. I performed a song called Sushi and Coffee, I think, and that's where I met one of my best friends now, actually. And that was so long ago, and that performance kind of gave me the boost of like, oh, this was easy. Like, I just have to get up here and play my songs. Like, I don't really get nervous on the stage, and that kind of like proved it. Like, I wasn't nervous. I was like, this is my song. Like, they're gonna love it, you know?
Yeah.
And they did, and that's what gave me the confidence to really go for it.
Nice. That's cool. I love that. It's and I think that confidence, like that, especially at a younger age, getting that confidence early is what really jump starts like a step into the musical field, you know, because I feel like a lot of young musicians, they kind of lack that confidence of, oh, hey, I can do this. And they don't always get that moment. So they either A, give up, or B, they just sit in their bedrooms and play until somebody notices, you know? So.
Yeah, you've really got to just do it yourself. And like growing up, I really struggled with confidence, like really bad in high school. Like I didn't talk in class. I didn't thinking of performing a song for someone. No, I would never.
Right.
So it's so interesting. Like I don't know where the switch happened or where it just clicked one day.
Yeah, for sure. And so did you go to UNT with the aspirations of studying music, or why did you choose UNT?
Ooh, that's a good question. So I knew I wanted to go to UNT very early on, like beginning of junior year of high school. I was like, this is my place. You know, I went on a tour, and it was like the perfect size campus, right? You can walk everywhere. There's coffee shops, there's little grocery stores, and the city itself is so artsy. And I feel like I needed that coming from Texarkana, where you don't have any real music venues that are going. We didn't at the time. And you don't have like a college group that is artsy like that. And I really like knew I would strive in that environment. And I did. and I toured other campuses and colleges, and I was like, no, this isn't. So I knew like so early, like this is my place, you know. And I think I went in expecting to do an English degree or a journalism degree, and I took an intro to sociology class, and I was like, yeah, this is good.
Fair, fair, fair. And so, are you working a full-time job right now, and then like music's kind of like a side thing, or are you trying to make music your full-time thing?
I if music's the full time thing, then it needs to happen, but it
Yeah.
hasn't happened yet. You know,
Fair.
I think I'm gonna try to get a teaching job soon, maybe teaching art
Hmm.
to pay the bills. I'm substitute teaching right now, so I was a barista. I worked 2 part-time jobs like all throughout college,
Yeah.
and like it's tough, but like you know, people say it takes 10 years, and if it takes 10 years, then it takes 10 years, and I'll be here. Hopefully it kicks off sooner than that. But
Yeah.
I know so many musicians, like so many like smaller indie artists that are still working part-time jobs, and like seeing them be more famous than I am and still having to work part-time jobs kind of makes me feel okay. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm not the only one like freaking out about this, but
Right.
we're all just hoping to like quit our part-time jobs so we can really pursue the thing that we're most passionate about, you know?
Right. Right. And I think it's one of those things where you're at such a young age right now where you can take a few more chances and still be okay. If you decided this summer, you're like, you know what, I'm going to figure out how to get myself on the road and just go tour around Texas and see if I can get my music career a little momentum going that way. I've seen a lot of musicians do that where they go like Dallas and then they go down to El Paso and stop in there, and then they go out to like Houston, and they just kind of do the Texas loop.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how they jumpstart their career. And it's like that's great. That's a great way to do it, but you have to have the mentality and the mindset and the work ethic to want to do it, because that's a grind. Like you're talking about grinding it out every day. So
Yeah, like if I do that, I have to start now. I have to like save up money. I have a dog. Like,
yeah,
where's he gonna go? Like, is he going with me? Like,
right. And the little growl of your dog that I heard earlier sounds like a big dog, a little bit.
no, he's. Let me see if I can pick him up. Come here. This is Norman.
Ah,
He's a
Sure.
Cocker Spaniel.
nice. I just heard the growl and I was like, oh, he sounds like a big dog.
No, he's a baby. He's a
Baby.
medium-sized dog, but
Fair. Yeah, once you said Cocker Spaniel, I was like, oh, he's not a big dog at all. Just got a big voice. Big
yeah,
voice.
he likes to talk. He
So,
wants to play right now.
fair. So outside of music, obviously, coming fresh out of college, you probably don't have a whole lot of free time at the moment, but what do you like to do to decompress, get away from everything?
Yeah, me and Norman like to go to the dog park a lot. He loves to play, and I've had him since April, and he's a year old now. Yeah, but we love to go to the dog park, and I love to paint too. That's another outlet of mine. If I feel like I can't write a song about something, I'll do a painting, and I still love coffee. I was a barista for 3 years, so I love going to coffee shops and trying new ones. And I have my own little baby espresso machine here. So
Fair. I lived out in New Mexico for a few years, and there's a buddy or an associate that I knew out there. I guess I can't even call him a buddy because we didn't hang out all that often. But he would talk about how that he studied coffee as like a side hobby, and I never realized that was an actual thing until I started talking to people that are like really in the coffee game, and they're like, "Oh yeah, there's like a whole like college thing, like a
oh yeah.
extra like school thing you can do to." Yeah.
Yeah, I would consider myself a coffee snob. Like, I can taste a good espresso, you know?
Fair, fair. As I don't drink coffee that often, so my palate on a lot of things is very uneducated. So, yeah. But it is what it is. Is that something that you've always been into, or is that something you started getting into in college?
Um, so my mom was a barista when she grew up, and she was also an art teacher.
Mhm.
And so I like knew that, and I was like, I want to be a barista one day, and I thought that was the coolest job. And I mean, I stayed with it for 3 years, and I still love it. Like if I wasn't doing teaching, I would still be a barista. And I I love coffee. I have an addiction to coffee, but it's not surprise. None of my friends will be surprised by that.
Fair.
Yeah, I love coffee, and I think trying to get a job as a barista when you're starting out is really hard. But
Mhm.
my manager at the time took a chance on me, and she's like, "I'll train you. It'll be great," and she did. And I'm so thankful for her.
Nice, nice. That's really interesting to think that it's like a special skill set to be a barista. And in the back, like for the longest time, it's like I thought, oh, you just make coffee. Like it's
Right.
not that hard. But no, there's so much more that goes into it. Like you've got, especially if you're like a small mom and pop shop that has different types of beans that are, beans that are in different types of seasons, and you just got to know all that stuff. And like, yeah, that's a lot. So.
Yeah.
So.
It's good. And you get to know like what coffee shops to go to and what to stay away from. So
Fair. So I'm guessing you don't go to Starbucks all that often.
no, I never go to Starbucks.
Fair, fair. Yeah, I think their coffee tastes like burnt garbage, but that's just me.
Yeah, it's not great.
Right. So kind of moving forward, you got your new EP coming out here on the 24th. What's running through your mind right now as you approach the final deadline?
Yeah, so I've been planning for this for so long. I've been preparing posts and everything, and I a lot of the songs are very lyric heavy,
Hmm.
and that's a good thing, and it might not also be a good thing for some people because a lot of people just want that like instant like, oh, this song's about this, but you really have to like dig deep into the lyrics. And I am posting some videos kind of explaining each song and what the inspiration behind it. So I'm really excited to hear people's feedback and like, I really like this one. I love this line. And that's one of my favorite things, like seeing what songs people resonate with, because I think it'll be surprising because already like the first song Thoughts is very slow and melancholy, and a lot of people have been like, I really like that one. I'm like, you do?
Right. And so will From the Ground be on this EP, or is that a standalone single?
Yeah, it'll be on the EP. It might not be the emphasis track, but it's still the single. And it played a big part in the process. Like once I stepped back and looked at all 5 of the songs, I realized that there's a real story there, and it's kind of starts when you realize like something's not right and you need to make a change, and then you make that change and you're building things up from the ground. And
Yeah.
then it ends with Bug Bites, which is like this acoustic chill song that you're like,
Yeah.
okay, I can breathe now.
Yeah. So how often I'm assuming that you play all these songs out at shows, or are they brand new songs?
I've been playing them recently. I think I wrote the last one in August.
Okay.
And so I would say they're pretty new because I'm always pulling in new songs. And some of them are harder to play live. Like Win is in a drop tuning. So playing that one live, I haven't done very much because you have to tune your whole guitar down. And
Yeah.
but I played it last night and it was so fun. Like I love playing that one.
Right.
So it's going to be interesting. Like that one's in a different tuning, and then take 5, the bottom E string is tuned down to a C, and guitars hate that. Guitars
Right.
do not want to go down to that note. So playing them is going to be challenging, but it's going to be rewarding, I think. So
I think the one where it's going to get to a point where you essentially have to have a second guitar, like especially if you start doing more stuff that isn't like a drop tuning, where it's just like, okay, we got to have a special guitar just for that. So it.
Yeah. Last night I did. I started with my acoustic and then moved to the rubber bridge.
Yeah.
So second guitars. I might even need a third guitar at some point. Like I don't know.
Now you sound like you're addicted to guitars and not coffee. So.
Hey, both.
Yeah. So while we were talking, I went and looked up the Rubber Bridge guitar because I had not heard of that yet. So what is it? Is it like the bridge is made out of rubber? Is it like what it says it is, or what's specific about it?
Let me grab it real quick and put my dog in his room.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
It's so pretty. I just want to like show it off a little bit. But
Nice.
the bridge part is rubber, so it gives it like a kind of a muted sound.
That's cool.
Yeah, and this is the orange wood guitar.
Yeah, actually, that's what I had up. I was looking at their Juniper Live, and because I always I've always had this idea of getting guitars to hang in the background of my like to make my setup a little bit more musically appealing.
Yeah.
And every time I go to like because I've been of the mindset, well, I'll go to a pawn shop and just kind of find something that's there that maybe isn't the best guitar, but it looks cool.
Yeah.
But they're still so damn expensive, and it's like, well, then I might as well just go buy a new one that's like something that I actually would like get like applaud for, be like, hey, that's a cool guitar you got there, and not the one that looks cool, but it's like, oh, that sounds like hot garbage, you know? So.
Yeah. This one is so pretty too, and a lot of rubber bridge guitars you have to kind of make yourself, and this is kind of one of the first companies who actually has their own model of it, which is nice. Really cool and super nice for an artist who can't pay for someone to build them a guitar.
Right. It's like I had another podcast this morning. We were talking about luthiers and making your own custom guitars, and I was like, I wish I knew more luthiers that like made custom guitars. So.
Yeah, it's crazy. My producer Chris, he like, I joined his band, and he like had me like switch out my pickups on my telly, and I was like, why are we doing this? He's like, don't worry about it, it'll sound better. I'm like, okay.
Okay, here we go, let's do it. That's funny.
Yeah, it's so cool, the customization you can do on amps and guitars.
Yeah. So what kind of music do you play in that band, or is it not really like a full-time gig that you're doing with them?
So it's called OK Neighborhood. I joined as a collaborator and player back in November of last year. And Chris has been doing his own kind of music for a while now. He's been in and out of other bands, but he was looking for a collaborator, and he asked me, and I was like, yeah, because I love his music. I love his stuff. And at the time I wasn't really playing electric that much. I had my telly, but I didn't play more than chords on it. So he took me on, and he was like, I'm going to teach you. You're going to be able to play all of these songs. I'm like, there's no way, Chris. There's no way. But he did, and I'm like so much better of a player because of it. And he's taught me so much, so much.
That's cool. And I'm guessing he's based in the DFW area, or?
Yes, yeah, he's in Granbury, right outside of Fort Worth.
Okay.
And we have three singles out, two that I wrote, and then another EP coming out hopefully soon with some more songs that I'm on. So it'll be fun.
Nice. So you're just staying busy, period, with music.
Oh yeah. It's constant shows, and this is the first podcast I've ever been on, so this is really cool.
Nice. That's awesome. I always love hearing that because I feel like I'm a pretty, like my podcasts are usually pretty chill. I don't hit you with like the gotcha questions. Like I feel like back when I first started, I always try and sneak in a gotcha question. And no, now it's just like, yeah, we're just talking. Don't and people still get nervous about it. Like they're like, I just don't know what we're going to talk about. It's like, we'll figure it out. Don't worry about it. So,
Yeah. Just talk about yourself and
right.
chilling.
Yeah, it's like as long as you're telling the truth, it's not going to be hard. Like it
Yeah.
definitely had a couple of those interviews where they try to pretend to be something that they're not, and then that's where the interview gets really hard because they're trying to figure out what story they're telling.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. So, how often do you get to go back out to Texarkana? Do you go pretty consistently, or do you not go that often?
I try to. All of my family's up there, so when I go, it's like I have to see everyone and do it in 2 days. Like it's a lot of people. It's a lot of food, and I went up for Christmas and saw everybody, and it was so great. I've been going less frequently because I've been trying to work more, and then I have shows on weekends, so it's hard to make it up there. But whenever I have free time, it's only a 3-hour drive, so can make it an easy weekend trip. And
Okay. When I go up to Chicago, don't usually stop in Texarkana. My gas usually needs to get refilled by about New Boston,
okay,
and so it's just like that's where I end up stopping, or if not, it's usually like just inside of Arkansas, whatever like the first major city just inside of Arkansas there is. And I don't know, like Texarkana's got a cool name. I'm kind of surprised that they don't have a little bit more of a thriving music scene there.
yeah, it's kind of getting there. Every time I go back, I kind of see one or two more things, but I really only have one friend who gigs there consistently, and everyone else is like, no, I'm not doing this because there's nothing to do. And if you're playing shows, you're playing shows for the same people. And like in Texarkana, you know everybody and everyone knows you, you know. So if there's a connection there, then you already have it, you know. And there's nothing more to gain, unfortunately.
Especially when Texarkana feels like one of those towns that if you grew up there, you pretty much have 90% of the connections you're going to make in that town. And if you want to come back and do like a homecoming show or something, you could probably make it happen. But other than that, it's like, okay, I see.
Yeah. And like, don't get me wrong. The connections I have, like, whenever I was in high school, those got me to where I am right now. And my music director and theater director and my history teacher, they all inspired me to do music and to write songs. And so those connections are important growing up, and like they're all you have, and you've got to use them. But you kind of outgrow it at some point. So
your aspirations outgrow the situation. And you definitely don't want to forget those connections, because who's to say down the line you don't need them again. But at some point you're going to be like, okay, I want to do something a little bit bigger. I want to grow this, and Texarkana just isn't going to do it. So
yeah, and I still go back. I had a little coffee house show a few months ago, and like I invited everyone and they all came out, and like it was really emotional for me because like I was sharing all of these new songs with people who had never heard them, and they all knew this like old version of me, and they were all so shocked. They were like, her confidence, like she can sing so loud now, and she's just so different. And like it's really important to me that they're always there for me because I love them and I don't take them for granted for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. So you'd mentioned earlier that like early on you were doing more covers and stuff, like especially back in Texarkana. What was your favorite cover to do? Like just out of curiosity.
So my favorite one that I played the most, it was called Yellow Taxi by Madison Ward and the Mama Bear. And my history teacher in high school, Mr. Davis, he shared that song with me. And he's really like one of the main people who encouraged me to play guitar, and like he helped me start a guitar club in high school as well. And I still love that band and that song, and I played it, and that's one of my mom's favorite songs that I play, and so I always have to play it when I go back. So Yellow Taxi by Madison Ward and the Mama Bear.
Nice. Awesome. So kind of looking forward, you got the new album coming out and then shows to kind of support it. What's one piece of advice you have for young musicians that are kind of looking to make that first step, that, like get that first song out, that since you've like really just recently started going through that whole process yourself, what's kind of the one piece of advice you have for the young ones out there?
That is so difficult. I'd say do it for yourself. Don't do it for anybody else. Like, don't do it to try to gain attention from someone or outbest someone. Like, do it for yourself and because you believe in yourself and your music, because at the end of the day, like, no one else is going to if you don't. Like, you're the source, and it starts with you, and you've got to believe in yourself more than anybody else. So.
Absolutely. 100%. So if anybody wants to check out you, your music, social media, shows, all that fun stuff, where's the best place to find you?
You can find me at Leah Graham Music on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok. And then Spotify, Leah Graham, Lia, Graham like Graham Cracker. I'm on all the streaming platforms, YouTube, all of that jazz.
Awesome. Well, once again, thank you so much for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you, and hopefully I'll make a trip up to the DFW area and catch one of your shows one of these days. I've been telling myself I need to get outside of Waco a little bit more and go to more shows. It's a burden of mine that I just don't do enough. So,
hey, we'll have you any day. So
awesome. But really appreciate you. Thank you for joining us. Thank you everybody for tuning in, and we will catch y'all later. Thank you so much for joining us on today's episode of Live and Amplified's Indie Fusion podcast. If you'd like to support anything Live and Amplified does, please follow us on all of our social media platforms at Live, the letter N, Amplified. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, YouTube, Threads, any of them, all of them, at Live, the letter N, Amplified. And if you would like to buy any official Live and Amplified merch, you can do so at our merch shop, link in the description below. Once again, thank you all. Have a great day.